Earlier in the programme I painted the sky on this little oil sketch. Now I get into painting the land, so I need to mix some earthy greens. They're sort of quite olivey. It's chalk downland and the grass is very short. Generally it's sort of quite a nice olivey green. So I'm using that purpley cloud colour actually, putting some yellow ochre into it, cobalt blue, so it's going to be quite dark. I'm going for a mid-tone rather than a light one or a dark one, and then just add some lighter and darker highlights. So we'll start over on this side. All we're doing here is just establishing the line of the downland against the sky. So put the glasses on, I might be able to make a neater line of it. So I want to go up a bit more steadily than that. That's better. Into the high point of the downs there. Pick up some more paint. Again, it's sort of got a bit spread out in the mixing, so just pick it up with a knife like that. Gives you the chance to pick up a bit more paint. And then down this side, there's some lines of hill just beyond that, a little more distant. So I'm going to make a sort of mauvey, lilac-y colour, and just sort of put these hills in the distance. So just have a look. Just bring that line along there. Right, that's fine. It's a little bit dark, so I'm just going to pick up some white and just blend into that. I say again, this is the beauty of oil paint, that you can change it as you go. You haven't got to get it right in the palette first time. So going along here, I want some variation in the greens. So cobalt blue, white, those two together, and then a little bit of yellow ochre. Might be too much, let's try that. That's getting better, right. So with this, I want to paint in those sort of suggestion of fields that are there, and then a bit more yellow ochre, a bit more cobalt blue, slightly more olivey green this time, which I'm blending in, putting in over the top of that, and then some yellow ochre, raw sienna. Just make a separate mix on the side there. I don't use water in the mix. The paint is creamy enough to be able to work with without making it wet. Water mixable oils, should you want to make a wetter, more manoeuvrable paint, then you can just use water and thin it down. Or there is a medium that you can buy, a thinner, going into the yellow ochre to create some there's a bit of white in it as well over here. That's better. And what I'm doing here, putting this colour in, is it'll be colour that I'm using in the foreground in a minute, so it all ties the painting together. I'm using all the same blues and yellows to create the painting so that you get a harmony. So just putting some shadow in on this side of the downland, which comes down. It's nice, I like that little dark line right on the edge where it meets the sky. It's quite a nice touch. And I'll continue that down to separate that land there. Same thing on, I've got a bit of a build up of paint here. So when the paintbrush starts to look like that with a big build up of paint, just take your palette knife, lay the brush flat on the palette and just scrape it off. And you can, very often, actually, the colour that you end up with, like by doing that, is very useful. Slightly darker, just put that in there. Again, trying to follow the contours a bit darker again. So brush horizontal, the flat of the brush that is, flat to the palette, pull it through the paint, put it down, pull it through again. I get a nice edge, and I should then just be able to put that edge along there. That's a sort of bushy, so I'll let that remain a bit irregular shaping on the top there. Along the bottom, just put a few bits in. I need to sharper line again, so do the same thing again. Pull it through, turn it over 180 degrees, pull it through again. I've got a nice little bead of paint on the very edge of the brush, which I can now just put a line in through there. And there's a little bit up on this part of the downs that's dark. And then wipe the brush off, the excess. So I'm not cleaning it, I'm not making the brush wet. Just getting off the excess paint. Pick up a little bit of yellow ochre and white. A bit more white than that. Create some brighter little bits against that dark. So through there, there, there. Right, so next thing is foreground. Distant trees, make a green. So I want some cobalt blue and a little bit of yellow ochre. I want a dark bluey green. And just put these trees in that come, they cut across there, come down there, and they cut up across the sky there. Pick up the paint again, and that's better. Pull that down into the, over this part. It's a layering technique. Working the way I work from top to bottom, you layer. So the hedges and things that I'm now putting on just overlap what I've previously painted. So this little bit here, there's a nice sort of tree in there. And then there's all sorts of bits, small trees and bushes and things going off. And that joins up with these here. And then just in front of that are some nice golden colours, so I'm going straight back into raw sienna yellow ochre mix and just putting in some of this sort of golden browny colour over the top. So again, it's another layer, another dimension, bringing that down to roughly where the line of the wheat field goes. So, and then all the rest will be the wheat fields in the foreground. So just bringing that down. You can go back in and just sort of put a few highlights in, a few lighter bits. The wheat field itself, so we've got to go for a mid-tone. So I'm picking up the raw sienna here, starting to mix over this side, and we're just blocking. So first of all, establish the distant line of the field. So putting the brush where the field comes to, i.e. there, and just flick the brush down and create the line of the field. A bit more white in that. Where it's over the dark, we'll lighten it a little bit. And that comes through. So now we've got that, we can, as this is a mid-tone, we can just block in. But I'm blocking in with vertical strokes. So as we go up, any little misses or changes of colour or all the way the crop grows, by putting this mid-tone in, you can then easily go in and put the shadows and the highlights over the top. I'm taking a touch of alizarin crimson into this now to make it slightly more golden. I need to just hook that up. And then what we're looking for here are some of the highlight colours. So starting back there, I want it a little bit more golden, so let's have some lemon yellow in with that. That's better. So alizarin crimson, it's amazing the colours you can make with that. So you can use the side of the brush, pull it down. Still want to be a little bit lighter, so let's put some white in. It's not really showing up, so we just lighten it. And let's see, this is better. Right, so starting at the back line, pulling it down. So along that top edge, it's lighter against the dark. And then we need to just dot that around. So this is still really middle distance back here. But if you keep your strokes going vertically, and you get these little misses that create the changes in colour that happen in fields of crops like this. Your marks in the foreground, actually if you use a smaller brush, use a little bit of medium this time, just roll it in there, and then you can put little touches in. Now, having built those, you worked your way across the whole painting, putting in these suggestion of lighter ears of wheat, keeping all the strokes, this is the important thing, keeping the strokes vertical as you put it on. And don't do neat rows. It's the most difficult thing for the human brain to do, is to be random. You find yourself not concentrating, and next thing you know, you've got a nice neat row or a pattern forming. So just try not to do that. Try and be a little more random. And then the final thing is to put the shadows in. So we can use raw umber, introduce raw umber into the mix, make a dark mix. We use a little bit of medium. And there's a nice sort of path that comes down through there. And then it spreads. So these dark parts, they're bigger at the bottom, so you can make your strokes quite big. That's the sort of idea. If you want to, you can use the handle of the brush and just put in some suggestions of stalks and things so that you split the shadows up. And we'll have a little bit over here. You've got a nice big shadow there. So we'll put that in. But it's a sketch, so in the studio you can work this up into a fully finished painting where you've spent a lot more time on the crop field. But so these little things that make life, the depiction of a whole field of wheat in some simple brush strokes. It needs a little bit more work, but I think for an oil sketch, I think that's all we need to do.